Hello. Today I've prepared a collection of stories that will send chills down your spine. These aren't made-up fairy tales, but real experiences of people who came face to face with things that can't be easily explained. In the dense taiga, along the silence of night roads, or even behind the walls of your own home, something uncontrollable may be hiding. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and write in the comments which story seemed the creepiest to you. And now, let's begin. I'm not the kind of person who usually tells stories like this. My whole life I've lived in the north, in a small settlement near the taiga. Since childhood, I've been used to the sounds of the forest, the owls crying at night, the wind howling in the treetops, the crunch of snow under the paws of animals. But what happened a few years ago completely changed my idea of what can be called ordinary. The three of us, me, my friend Ethan, and his younger brother Josh, went into the taiga at the end of October. We planned to set up tents for 3 days, fish, and check old traps. Ethan was an avid hunter, while Josh and I mostly went along for company. The weather was good for late fall. It froze slightly at night, but during the day it stayed just above zero with dry, clear air. Seemed like perfect conditions. The first night passed peacefully. We lit a fire, cooked some fish soup, told stories, laughed. The taiga at night is always dark, like a solid wall, but being together gave us a sense of safety. Nothing felt wrong. But on the second night, everything changed. At first, I woke up to the sound of someone walking past the tent. Heavy footsteps, branches, and snow crunching under them. I thought it was Josh going to the bushes, but then I heard his steady breathing beside me. Ethan was asleep too, which meant it was someone else. I froze and listened. The steps moved away, then came back again. They were too heavy for a human, more like a bear or a moose. But what was strange was that they stopped too close, right at the tent's entrance, standing there. I felt the presence so strongly, I could almost imagine the fabric of the tent pulling inward with its breath. I couldn't take it and whispered to Ethan, "Hey, wake up. There's someone out there." Ethan opened his eyes instantly, looked at me, then at the tent flap, and listened. For a few seconds, we heard nothing. Then, again, crunching, heavy movements, as if something was slowly circling our camp. Ethan silently reached for his rifle, motioned for me to stay quiet. We sat like that, not breathing, until the footsteps faded into the forest. Sleep never came back. In the morning, we found tracks. And here's the strange part. The snow was frozen hard, but wherever the visitor had walked, it sank deep, as if something weighing half a ton had passed through. Yet the shape was blurred, indistinct. Not a bear's paw, not a moose's hoof, something else. Almost like a human print in enormous boots, but with long toes. Ethan frowned, but said it was probably a moose. He was tense the entire day after that, constantly glancing over his shoulder. Josh kept joking about us losing our minds, but I could tell Ethan didn't believe his own words. He knew the forest too well to write it off as chance. The next night was worse. We lit the fire again, but kept the rifle close. At one point, the flames died down, and Ethan went to get more wood. When he returned, his face was pale, his hands shaking. He said he'd seen a figure between the trees, tall, thin, with long arms moving in jerky motions, like broken. And the worst part, it was just standing there, watching him. I didn't want to believe him. But less than an hour later, we all heard the crunch again. This time from different sides at once. Not one creature, several. But when we ran out with the flashlight, The beam caught only one silhouette, and it vanished instantly into the trees, as if it had never been there. Josh still tried to act tough, but I saw his lips trembling. Ethan said firmly, "We're leaving tomorrow. Something's wrong here." We lay down, but none of us slept. And then I heard the most terrifying thing of all: breathing. Deep, wet, right outside the tent. The air inside felt heavy, suffocating. I knew if I stepped outside, I wouldn't come back. Morning came slowly, as if the taiga itself was deciding whether to give us this day. Ethan and I silently packed our things, while Josh kept looking over his shoulder, like someone invisible was watching his every move. Every sound, the snap of a twig, a rustle of leaves, made us freeze. Even the birds were silent, and the forest felt unnaturally hollow. We decided to follow the trail toward the nearest road, about 3 kilometers through thick forest. The first stretch was normal, but when we rounded a ravine, Ethan noticed. The snow was disturbed again. Those same strange, deep, smudged footprints. "They're following us," Ethan said quietly. "No way," Josh tried to joke, but his voice trembled. An hour later, the trail grew harder. The wind lifted dry branches, and the crunching sound came again behind us. This time, it didn't fade. It followed. We quickened our pace. Josh stumbled. I helped him up, and then we all heard a low moan. Almost human, but broken, metallic. My heart hammered so hard it hurt. Ethan gripped the rifle, but we knew shooting would be useless. We didn't even know what we were dealing with, and any sudden move could make things far worse. Josh, leading the way, suddenly stopped. Ahead lay a thicket where the trees grew close, their branches hanging low. A cold shiver ran over me, as if unseen hands were pulling us in. The crunching grew louder, closer. "Move!" Ethan ordered. "Don't stop!" We broke into a run, pushing through branches, jumping over roots. The snow was crusted and sharp, every step cracking loudly as if announcing our location to the whole forest. At one point, I caught a glimpse of it. On the far side of a small clearing it stood, thin, disproportionate, with long arms, head tilted. Its outline blended into the trees, but I knew it was watching us. Then Josh screamed, tripping over a root, and we ran harder, breathless, not daring to look back. Eventually, the trail opened onto an old logging road. We slowed down, but the crunching still followed. Sometimes it felt right behind us, but when we turned, nothing, as if the forest itself was toying with us, creating illusions. Finally, we reached the road. Ethan raised a hand, stopping us, and we looked back. The forest was still. No sounds, only a soft wind moving through the trees, as if nothing had ever happened. We stood, trembling, catching our breath. Josh whispered, "We need to get out. Now." We ran to the car, not caring about the path, not stopping. The distance felt endless, but at last we climbed inside, started the engine, and tore off down the forest road. Silence remained behind us, but the feeling didn't leave, that something was still out there, watching, walking quietly, unable to step onto the road. When we reached asphalt and saw familiar signs, I felt relief for the first time all night. But as I cast one last look back at the taiga, I realized it wasn't over. What we'd seen wasn't just an animal. It knew how to hide, how to wait, and maybe someday we'd meet it again. Ethan said nothing. I tried to talk. Josh still shook, but deep down we all knew that forest would stay with us forever. And even now, when I close my eyes, I still hear that crunch in the night.